The first time I saw Clara Bennett, she was standing in the middle of a dying wheat field with a shotgun in her hands. The wind pulled at her dark hair, and the late afternoon sun burned behind her like a warning. She pointed the gun directly at my chest. "You have 10 seconds to get off my land." I should have been angry. Instead, I almost smiled, because after 20 years away, I had finally found the last Bennett standing, and I had come home to destroy everything her family had left. My name is Ethan Walker. I was 12 years old when my father lost our ranch. I still remember the day clearly. Men arrived before sunrise with documents, trucks, and a sheriff's deputy. They walked through our house as if we were already gone. My mother packed our clothes into 2 old suitcases, while my father stood on the porch, staring across the fields he had worked since he was a boy. He did not cry. My father never cried. But something inside him died that morning. The Bennett family claimed that my father had borrowed money against the ranch and failed to repay it. According to the papers, he had signed everything willingly. My father swore the documents were false. No one believed him. The Bennetts had money, influence, and friends in every office in town. We had nothing. Within a month, we were living in a cheap apartment 3 counties away. Within a year, my father was drinking. Within 5 years, he was dead. My mother followed soon after, and from that moment, I carried only one dream with me. I would return. I would become rich enough that no one could ignore me. And I would take back everything the Bennett family had stolen. It took me 20 years. I built a construction company, invested in land, and learned that money did not just buy comfort, it bought leverage. By the time I returned to Cedar Hollow, most of the Bennett family was gone. Clara's father-in-law had died. Her husband, Daniel Bennett, had been killed in a tractor accident 2 years earlier, and Clara was left alone with her 8-year-old daughter Lily, trying to keep the ranch alive. The Bennett property was no longer the kingdom I remembered. The fences leaned, the barn roof sagged. Half the fields had gone unplanted. The family that once controlled the county was now buried in debt. It should have felt like justice. Instead, as Clara held that shotgun on me, I felt something I had not expected. Pity. I pushed it away. "My name is Ethan Walker," I said. Her expression changed. Not much, but enough. She knew the name. "Walker," she repeated. "Yes." She lowered the shotgun slightly. "My lawyer said you might come." "Then your lawyer should have warned you that the southern field no longer belongs to you." Her eyes hardened. "That field has belonged to this ranch for 70 years. Not according to the original county maps. You bought those maps?" "I bought the ranch next door. The maps came with it." Clara stepped closer. There was dust on her boots and exhaustion under her eyes, but she did not look weak. "You think you can come back here, wave money around, and take whatever you want?" "No," I said. "I think I can take back what was stolen." For the first time, I saw fear in her face, not fear of me, fear of losing the land. Behind her, a little girl stood near the porch, watching us. She had Clara's dark hair and Daniel Bennett's blue eyes. Clara noticed me looking. She immediately moved between us. "Stay away from my daughter. I have no interest in your daughter." "Good." She raised the shotgun again. "Now get off my land." I left, but I filed the lawsuit the next morning. The case should have been simple. The old survey lines supported my claim. If I won, Clara would lose nearly a third of her usable farmland. Without it, the ranch would fail. That was exactly what I wanted. At least, that was what I kept telling myself. For the next few weeks, Clara and I fought over everything. Fence lines, water rights, access roads, an old irrigation channel that crossed both properties. She refused every settlement I offered. I refused every delay her lawyer requested. We saw each other in court, at county offices, and sometimes across the fields where our workers repaired fences under the same burning sun. She never smiled at me. I never gave her a reason to. Then came the storm. It arrived in the middle of the night. Rain fell harder than it had in years, flooding the creek and tearing through the old wooden bridge between our properties. I was checking the lower fields when I saw headlights near the river. A truck had slid off the road. Half of it was already in the water. I ran toward it and found Clara trapped behind the wheel. Lily was crying in the passenger seat. The water was rising quickly. I smashed the rear window with a rock and pulled Lily out first. Then I went back for Clara. Her seatbelt was stuck. The truck shifted beneath us. "Leave me!" she shouted. I ignored her. The water reached my waist, then my chest. I cut the belt with my pocket knife and dragged her through the broken window, seconds before the truck rolled into the creek. We spent the rest of the night in my house. Lily slept under a blanket on the couch, while Clara sat near the fireplace, wrapped in one of my coats. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, she looked at me. "Why did you save us?" I stared into the fire. "Anyone would have." "No," she said quietly. "Not anyone." I looked at her then. Without the anger in her face, she seemed different. Younger, sad, human. "You think I wanted you dead?" "I think you want me gone." "That is not the same thing. To me it might be." Her words stayed with me. The next morning I drove her and Lily home. The storm had damaged the barn and destroyed part of the roof. Clara stood in the mud, looking at the wreckage. She did not cry. She simply rolled up her sleeves and started working. I should have left. Instead, I stayed. My crew arrived an hour later. By sunset, we had covered the roof and secured the barn. Clara tried to pay me. I refused. "I do not want to owe you anything," she said. "You do not." "Then why are you helping?" I had no answer. The truth was that I did not know. Maybe it was because Lily had started following me around, asking questions about every tool I used. Maybe it was because Clara worked beside us without complaint. Or maybe it was because, for the first time, I saw the Bennett Ranch not as the place that had destroyed my family, but as a home on the edge of collapse. After that day, something changed between us. The lawsuit continued. So did the arguments. But the hatred became harder to hold. Sometimes Clara brought coffee to the fence line when I was working nearby. Sometimes Lily crossed the field to show me a drawing or ask me to fix something. I taught her how to repair a gate. She taught me the names of all the barn cats. Clara watched from a distance. One evening, I found her repairing a tractor by herself. "You are doing that wrong," I said. She looked up. "Then go away before I hurt your feelings." I laughed. It surprised both of us. I took the wrench from her hand. "You loosened the wrong line." "I knew that." "Of course you did." We worked until dark. When the engine finally started, Clara smiled. It was the first time I had seen her smile, and it nearly destroyed every reason I had come home. A week later, She invited me inside for dinner. Lily had insisted. We ate chicken, potatoes and biscuits at the same table where generations of Bennetts had once made decisions that controlled the town. I expected to feel angry. Instead, I felt strangely at peace. After Lily went to bed, Clara poured coffee. "What was your father like?" she asked. I stiffened. "You know what happened to him." "I know what people said. He was an honest man." "I did not say he wasn't." "Your family did." Clara looked down at her cup. Daniel never believed the story. I stared at her. "What story?" "That your father forged the loan papers." "Why would Daniel care?" "Because near the end of his life, he started asking questions." The room suddenly felt colder. "What kind of questions?" "About old deeds, bank records, your family's ranch." I leaned forward. "Why did you never tell anyone?" "Because he died before he found anything." "How convenient." The words came out sharper than I intended. Clara stood. "You think I killed my husband?" "I think Bennetts have always been good at hiding the truth." Her face closed. "You should leave." I did. And for the next several days, we did not speak. Then Lily disappeared. It happened on a Sunday afternoon. Clara called me, panicked. Lily had taken her pony into the hills and had not returned. A storm was approaching. We searched separately at first, riding through old trails and dry creek beds. Near sunset, I found the pony alone beside an abandoned farmhouse. The house had once belonged to my grandfather. After the Bennetts took our land, it had been left to rot. I found Lily inside. She was unhurt, sitting on the floor beside a broken cabinet. "I wanted to find treasure," she said. Instead, she had found a small metal box beneath the floorboards. The lock had rusted away. Inside were letters, photographs, legal documents, and a leather-bound journal. Clara arrived minutes later. Together we carried the box back to the ranch. We spent the entire night reading. The letters were between my father and Daniel's father, Samuel Bennett. They were not enemies, they were business partners. They had planned to build a shared irrigation system that would protect both ranches during drought years. But someone had sabotaged the agreement. The signatures on the loan documents were forged. Money had been transferred through a bank account controlled by a man named Victor Hale. Victor had been the Bennett family lawyer. He was also the current county judge, the same judge overseeing my lawsuit against Clara. The journal belonged to Samuel Bennett. In it he wrote that Victor had threatened him. Victor had been stealing land for years, using false debts and forged documents. When Samuel discovered the truth, Victor promised to destroy both families if Samuel spoke. Samuel remained silent. My father lost everything, and the Bennett family slowly collapsed anyway. The final entry was written shortly before Samuel died. It contained one sentence: "I allowed fear to destroy the Walker family, and one day the truth will destroy mine." Clara sat across from me, tears in her eyes. "I am sorry." I could barely speak. For 20 years I had hated her family. I had built my entire life around revenge, and now I knew that the Bennetts had been victims too, not innocent, but not the monsters I had imagined. "What do we do?" Clara asked. "We expose him." The next morning we took copies of everything to the state prosecutor, but Victor Hale found out. That evening, my office was broken into. The original survey maps were stolen. 2 days later, Clara's barn caught fire. We managed to save the animals, but much of the equipment was destroyed. The sheriff called it an accident. We knew better. Victor visited me the next day. He walked into my office as if he still owned the town. He was nearly 70, dressed in an expensive grey suit with a silver cane in one hand. "You should have stayed away. Ethan," he said. "You should have destroyed the box." "I tried. Your grandfather hid it well." "You ruined my father." "Your father ruined himself. He refused to understand how the world works." "You mean he refused to let you steal from him?" Victor smiled. "Words are dangerous without proof." "We have proof." "You have old papers, damaged records, and the desperate testimony of a widow about to lose her ranch." He placed a document on my desk. It was an offer. Enough money to make Clara wealthy. Enough money to make me richer. All we had to do was surrender the documents and leave the county. "You think this is about money?" I asked. "Everything is about money." "No," I said. "This is about my father." Victor's smile disappeared. "Then your father will cost you another family." I stood so quickly that the chair fell behind me. "If you touch Clara or Lily, you are already touching their lives," he said. "You brought this danger to them." He left. That night I went to Clara's house. I told her to take Lily and leave town. She refused. "This is my home." "It is not worth your life. You do not get to decide that. I am trying to protect you." "No. You are trying to push me away because you are afraid." I said nothing. She stepped closer. "You spent 20 years believing revenge was the only thing keeping you alive. Now that it is gone, you do not know who you are." Her words cut deeper than any threat Victor had made. "And you think you know me?" "I know that you saved my daughter." She took another step. "I know you repaired my barn when you had every reason to let it fall." Her voice softened. "I know you pretend not to care, because caring would mean you have something to lose." I looked at her. The room seemed to shrink around us. "You are wrong," I whispered. "About what?" "I know exactly what I have to lose." Then I kissed her. For one moment there was no lawsuit, no revenge, no past, only Clara. She kissed me back, and that was the moment I knew I would give up every acre of land I owned if it meant keeping her safe. The next day we made a plan. Victor believed the original journal was still in Clara's house. We let him believe it. That night, we placed a recording device in the living room and left the lights on. Victor arrived just after midnight with 2 men. He expected to find the house empty. Instead, he found me waiting. Clara and Lily were safe with the state police several miles away. Victor demanded the journal. I told him it had already been delivered to the prosecutor. He lost control. He confessed more than we expected. He admitted forging the loan. He admitted threatening Samuel Bennett. He even admitted causing the barn fire. Everything was recorded. When he realized what I had done, he reached for a gun. But the state police entered before he could use it. Victor Hale was arrested in the same room where he had once believed fear would keep her silent. The case made state news. Old land transfers were reopened. Families who had lost farms and businesses came forward. Victor's network collapsed. A month later, my lawsuit against Clara was dismissed. I could have kept fighting for the southern field. Instead, I signed it over to her. She stared at the deed for a long time. "This land belonged to your family," she said. "It belongs to Lily's future now." "And what about your future?" I looked across the fields. For most of my life, I believed my future was buried with my father. I thought revenge was the only inheritance he had left me. But I was wrong. He had left me his name, his courage, and the chance to become a better man than the one grief had tried to create. "My future," I said, "depends on whether there is room at your dinner table." Clara smiled. "There is." A year later, we joined the two ranches. We rebuilt the old irrigation system our fathers had once planned. The fields grew again. The barn was repaired, and Lily painted a new sign for the entrance: Walker Bennett Ranch. On the day we raised it, Clara stood beside me holding my hand. I thought about the boy I had been, the boy watching his father lose everything. I wished I could tell him that one day he would return, that he would discover the truth, that he would take back what had been stolen, but not in the way he expected. I came home to destroy the Bennett family. Instead, I fell in love with the last woman carrying their name, and she taught me something revenge never could. Sometimes justice gives you back the land, but love gives you back your life.